It makes no sense that us women, we feel like that of the amount of pain that we go through on our cycle is normal. It's just the norm. It's just something that you have to go through because it's your cycle. I'm here to tell you it does not have to be that way. Dumplings, welcome back to This Is Zari. If you are new here, I am on this journey of walking in my purpose, standing in my truth, and keeping my vibes high. And you should subscribe down below so you can join me on this journey and you may find yourself to be on a journey of your own. And for all of my already dumplings, I am sending you good vibes and positive energy your way. So let me start off by saying and expressing my gratitude for having a peaceful, blissful menstrual cycle this past menstrual cycle. I am just so very thankful because my body has come a very far away in a distant land, very far away from where I am today, okay? And I'm just very thankful. Like, I am so relieved. I feel like this really heavy weight has just been lifted from off of me, and it's just a blessing. It's really a blessing, and I'm just honestly, like, truly thankful for it. So I just want to express my gratitude real quick, put my gratitude out there. Ashe. All right, so let me just tell you guys what this video is about. In high school, I was diagnosed with dysmenorrhea, and it's basically a chronic disease. It causes me to have just extremely severe pain throughout my menstrual cycles. It's really like, it's debilitating, it's painful, it's just a lot. And I was dealing with that for such a long time in my life, and I am finally at a point to where I know my body enough. I know the things that I need to do throughout the month to make sure that I have a peaceful and blissful menstrual cycle. And I just want to share my journey with my menstrual cycle with you guys. I will make another video on what I do throughout my month to ensure that I have a great cycle, but this video is just specifically for telling my journey, telling my story. So I have my notepad here because I want to make sure that I get the timeline right. I'm just going to go through my menstrual cycle from when I started to where I am today. So I started my menstrual cycle maybe around like the 7th or 8th grade, and somehow I knew I was gonna start. I was at a friend's house and we were practicing we had a carnival performance that we had to do the next day, and I don't know why, but I definitely knew that my menstrual cycle was gonna start that night. So I had everything with me, I was prepared. So when I started at her place, it was like I had everything that I needed. So I don't know, I just knew, I knew. And during that time, my menstrual cycles weren't bad. Like, they were very irregular. My menstrual cycle started whenever it wanted to start. It didn't really have a set day or even around the set date it wanted to, it just started. So let's fast forward to high school. It was maybe my sophomore year. It was my sophomore year for sure, actually. The way that my cycle would begin is it would start at nighttime. It would wake me out of my sleep. And I knew that it was my menstrual cycle because I would wake out of my sleep and have like extreme pain, like extreme cramping going on. And then in my head, I'm like, oh my gosh, like it's about to start. Here we go. I don't want to go through this, but this is just something that I'm living with, right? And at this time, I didn't know what I was diagnosed with yet. So I would wake out of my sleep in pain, and I would be really nauseous. I would vomit. I had diarrhea. I had a headache, like the room would spin. I was just like in extreme pain. And I just remember as a younger girl just having to like lay in the bathroom, literally having to like just go to sleep in the bathroom, and it would come as I had contractions. So the pain would come and it would be like a lot of pain. It would be really excruciating, and then it'll go away for a little bit, and then I'll come back and then the pain will come and it'll be really excruciating. And once the time between the contractions became larger, that's when I knew like, okay, like it's coming to an end. But for hours I would just be on the bathroom floor, and it's not like I could leave the bathroom because I would have to either throw up or sit on the toilet because it was like constant. And it was just an awful experience. Like, even thinking about it is making me kind of emotional because it was just a lot to handle. And I think what made my family take me to the doctors is just like, it just didn't seem to get any better. Like every time my cycle would come, every single month, I would just have to go through this same experience, and I was just so over it. Like, no young girl, no woman should have to go through that at all. My family ended up taking me to the doctors, and that's when I found out that I was diagnosed with dysmenorrhea. And the solutions to that my doctor gave me was I can take things like ibuprofen, Advil, other pain medication pills, or I can get on birth control. And birth control was the best option for me because, like I said before, my cycles were very irregular. So it's not like I knew like, okay, on the 23rd of every month my cycle is coming, so I can take Advil or ibuprofen like the 22nd, 23rd, and I wouldn't have to go through that experience. I didn't know what day my period wanted to start. My period started whenever it wanted to, so that was kind of tricky with that. So birth control was a solution for me. That's what I went with, and I was on birth control for maybe like 5 or 6 years of my life, and maybe like the last 2 or 3 years is when it was like on and off, because my body started telling me that it didn't want to be on birth control anymore. It did not want to be on birth control anymore. I took the contraceptive, which is the pill form of the birth control, and I would wake up at 6 a.m. every morning to take my birth control. And because like I was so over what I was going through every month with my cycle, I didn't miss a day. And then I can't really remember when it started happening, but my body was telling me it didn't want to be on birth control anymore. And this is how I knew. So me being on birth control was supposed to stop me from having the experience that I had with my cycle every month. And some months it didn't stop it. Like I still had the same pain and the same experience that I had before, but I was on birth control. So I wasn't really understanding. I was like, okay, like I'm on birth control. The doctors told me this will make me better, and it did for a little bit, but then over time it was like, I'm still getting sick. So what is the purpose of me being on birth control? Why am I still on birth control? I guess this may be a normal side effect, I'm not really sure, but I was on the birth control to where I didn't have my cycle at all, and then I would still have my cycle. Like I would still have my cycle, I was still getting sick, so the things that this birth control was supposed to do, it wasn't doing. And I was just like, okay, like where we go from here, because I don't want to experience this every month. That's not something that I want to do. Where do I go from here? So I think it was right before I got to college when I changed my birth control. I changed to the Depo-Provera, which is the shot that you get in your arm, and I think the shot lasts up to 3 months. That's what I got. And a normal side effect of the shot is you can spot throughout the month for 6 months, bitch. 6 months. You can spot 6 months. That is just a normal symptom of the Depo-Provera shot. But I'm like, hell, like I don't want to go through this every month. Let's just do it, because I'd rather do this than go through what I go through. So I got that, and it's not like I had normal spotting throughout the month. It was damn near like I'm on my period every single day. So I think I only ended up getting the Depo-Provera shot 2 times. You're supposed to get a new one every 3 months. And after the second time that I got it, I just still feel like my body was telling me it didn't want to be on birth control. And I think that's when I really started listening to my body and what it needed. It was just like a very strong intuitive feeling, and a feeling just from my body telling me that birth control is not the answer. It's just not. And I just decided to not get the shot. And when I went back to the doctors, I just told them like, hey, the pill didn't work for me, the shot didn't work for me. What else can I do about this, about me having dysmenorrhea? Because I still don't want to have to go through what I experience every single month. I don't want to do that anymore. So like, what can I do? Like, please help. And the birth control helped for a little bit, but all in all, it really didn't. Like, it really just didn't. I was still going through, it wasn't like every single month anymore. It was some months, but it was often enough to where I was like, okay, this birth control is not working. So the doctors offered other forms of birth control, like the IUD. I was like, yeah, I don't want that. Like, that's not something that I want. There are certain things that can happen with having an IUD. Let me tell you some of the side effects of the IUD, okay? The IUD can cause infertility, chronic pelvic pain, fever. It very rarely causes death, but it's still a side effect up there. You may have to remove the IUD because it can cause infections in your vagina. And I was like, yeah, that's not something that I want. Oh no, before they offered me the IUD, they offered me the implant that can go into your arm. It's like a little stick. What is it called? What is it called? I didn't write it down. But they was really pushing for me to get this implant that you keep in your arm. And I don't know how long the implant lasts, but it's like, it's like a little stick in your arm, and you can literally feel that little ass stick in your arm. And that has side effects too. And they were just really pushing birth control on me. Like, I just feel like that's the only answer that you have for me. The only answer to this issue that I have, that I know many other women have, all you have for me is birth control. That is it. I don't want it. I don't want it. And the reason why I don't want it is because I know that my body doesn't want it. I'd rather go through the pain than have birth control. That's how much I knew that my body disliked birth control. I'd rather go through that excruciating pain for hours, vomiting, diarrhea, headaches. Like, I'd rather go through that than be on birth control. That's how much I was against taking birth control, okay? And after my doctor like realized how strongly I was against it, they went back to like me taking like ibuprofen and Advil or other pain medications. And the only issue with that was my periods were still irregular. I still didn't know what day my period was gonna start. Taking Advil or taking ibuprofen every single day for 7 days, and then maybe my menstrual cycle doesn't even start that week, it starts the next week, and I may have to take even more medication. I am just not for that. Like, that's just not something that I want to do either. So my only other option was go through the pain. Like, of course, doctors tell you other things like drink water, you can exercise, don't eat dairy when you get on your period, but they really didn't have no other real solution other than birth control, okay? So let's get into, after I stopped using birth control completely, my mood, how I felt about myself was just very different. A side effect of birth control is depression. And I truly think that birth control, that it had that side effect on me, because I just was just a different person, like a happier, more just jovial Zari when I was not on birth control. And at that time when I was on it, I didn't realize that birth control was making me depressed. I didn't realize that. It wasn't until after I got off of it, from being on it from 5 or 6 years, that I realized that damn, that shit was making me sad. Like, that was really like bringing me down. So I am thankful that I made that decision, okay? Till this day, I am very thankful that I made that decision. But from making that decision, I had to go through the pain of being diagnosed with dysmenorrhea, of having dysmenorrhea, of having a chronic disease that causes me extreme pain throughout my menstrual cycle. I had to deal with that. Everything was, I mean, it wasn't fine. I just became so used to it. Like, I just became so used to, oh, like, here my menstrual cycle comes. Let me just go to the bathroom now because I'm about to go through what I go through every single month. It just became like the normal for me, and it was unbearable, but it was like, hell, like, what else I'm gonna do? Get on birth control? No. So I'm gonna deal with it. And then I want to say, like, it had to be my senior year of college. My senior year of college, for maybe like 6 months straight, each cycle that I had, it was getting worse and worse and worse. Like, on a level that I have never even felt before in my life. It was getting so bad, and I don't even know why. Maybe I still had, my body was still like eliminating all traces of whatever the birth control left in my body. Maybe that's why. And maybe it came to a point to where all that birth control has been eliminated from my body. Now it's just my body. So maybe that's why my cycle was getting that much worse. I'm not really sure, but it was getting to a point to where it was like, whoa, like, this is hell. This is hell for me. Like, the last straw for me was one of the worst menstrual cycles that I've ever had in my life, that I've ever felt in my life. It was so much pain. It was so excruciating. It was to the point where I'm just, it was bad. Like, it was really bad. I can't even really put it into words, but if you also like have dysmenorrhea or have any other diseases dealing with having like extreme menstrual cycles, then you know exactly what I mean. You know what I mean. Like, it literally feels like you're just being like ripped apart inside. I just can't put it into words, but it was such a terrible, terrible experience. And I was at my boyfriend's apartment, and the next day he was like, I wish I would have taken you to the emergency room. And really thinking about it, like, yeah, I probably should have went to the hospital, like to the emergency room for real, because that's how painful it was. And because I was in so much pain, well, this happened a lot throughout my cycle. Like, the pain, I was in so much pain that I would just pass out. Like, I would just pass out, and it wasn't until like I wake up until I realized, like, damn, like I was out for a little bit. And that would be like after the fact. After that point, I was like, there has to be something. There's no way in hell that the only thing that can make me feel better is birth control. Okay, I said, what? I just started thinking, like, what did my ancestors do? My ancestors, they ain't have no birth control. This birth control is man-made. Okay, that is not natural at all. There has to be some type of holistic, natural remedies that I can do to ease this, because me going through this pain, the amount of stress that it puts on my physical and my mental health is too much. I have to figure this out. What can I do? So I started doing some research. Now I found just the perfect recipe that works for me, things that I can do throughout the month to have a peaceful menstrual cycle. Like, I literally made it my mission. I said, no more. I cannot do this anymore. Something has to happen. Like, I just was really just trying to think about and research what women were doing before westernized medicine, before birth control. What was it? What were women doing? Because that's not the only answer. That can't be the only answer. This past cycle that I had was a great one. The best menstrual cycle that I've probably had in my life. I had minor cramps, but that's nothing that a little ginger tea and a heating pad couldn't fix. Like, it was not terrible at all. It wasn't unbearable. It just felt like some regular cramps that I could deal with, and I was so happy and blessed. And the last 2 times before this past cycle, it wasn't like blissful, but it was way better than what I was experiencing before. So it's been getting a lot better. And now I just am just very thankful that this past cycle was a good one. But the thing that is still up is the toll that it had on my mental health. Because whenever my period comes around, the fear that I have in my heart, the fear that is just within my body, like, I get so scared. I get so scared that, like, oh my God, like, I have to go through this pain. Like, I'm just like waiting for my doom to come. Like, that's literally what it feels like. It's like I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting to go through this pain, to go through this whole experience, and it's fearful. It's really scary. And this past cycle, like maybe like a week before I knew my cycle was coming, like I could tell it really took a toll on my body, and the way that and just my mood and how I was, like I was just terrified of starting my cycle, because I know that what I went through before, and even though the past 2 times it was better, it fucked up my mental so bad that it's still something so scary to even think about that I have to go through. I had to vocalize it. I wrote in my journal about it. I talked to my boyfriend about it, and he basically reminded me that, like, hey, look, you do the things that are necessary throughout the month to make sure that you have a great menstrual cycle. Like your past 2 menstrual cycles, they've been getting better and better, and this one is only going to be better as well because you do what you need to do throughout the month. And it was just very calming, and it put me at an ease. Like, okay, you're right, I do the things throughout the month that I need to do to ensure that I have a peaceful cycle. And hey, like if I have to go through what I usually go through, I've done it before, so I know I can do it again. So like it kind of like put me at an ease, and I'm very like thankful for having people in my life that like support me, that help ease my stress, ease my worries. And look at God, because I had a very peaceful menstrual cycle, and I'm just like still very thankful, and I'm blown away still. And I'm not gonna say that I'm angry, because I guess westernized medicine doesn't really, it just doesn't, westernized medicine and like holistic and herbs and remedies and stuff like that, they're just 2 very separate institutions of, you get what I'm trying to say? They're just very like different. So I guess I can't be upset that like my doctors basically told me that the only thing that I could do was take birth control and make me feel better. I am proud and I am happy that I did the necessary research for my body to make myself feel better, to learn myself, to learn my body, to learn my womb, to connect with my body and my womb. And I'm saying all that just to say that I'm thankful and I'm blessed. And from here on out, even though I still think it still takes a toll on my mental health, I know from here on out, I don't need to worry. Like, I have no worries when it comes to my menstrual cycle, and that's just weight lifted off my shoulders. Because just think about every single month, it's on my mind that like, damn, I gotta go through this shit. Just think about the toll that that takes on your mental health. But I'm fixing that, because now my physical health is good. I have everything down. I do the things necessary throughout the month to make sure that I have a peaceful menstrual cycle. And now I just need to work on my mental. So now when that time comes, I'm not afraid. I know like, hey, I got this because I do what I need to do. So I'm gonna have a peaceful menstrual cycle. Okay, so I feel like this has been a very long video, but I just really want to share my experience with you guys, because believe it or not, there are so many women that go through so much pain throughout their cycle, and you don't have to feel that way. I'm here to tell you that you are not the only one, and you don't have to go through that. You don't. And I want to help give you guys the tools that I use, the things that I do throughout my month to ensure that I have a peaceful menstrual cycle, so that you guys can have one as well, because it just makes no sense to me. It makes no sense that us women, we feel like that of the amount of pain that we go through on our cycle is normal. It's just the norm. It's just something that you have to go through because it's your cycle. I'm here to tell you it does not have to be that way. It doesn't. You have to learn your body. You have to do your research. You have to trial and error. And what works for my body may not even work for you. But if I can help at least one girl out there or one woman out there, that is enough for me. But this will be a 2-part video. In my next video on this topic, I will be explaining to you guys the things that I do throughout the month, so maybe you guys can try that out for yourself. If you've been diagnosed with dysmenorrhea or diagnosed with anything, or just have excruciating pain throughout your cycles, just comment down below and share a little bit of your experience of your journey in the comment section, just because like it really may help other women out there, just so they don't feel alone, just so they feel like they're just not the only ones, and they feel like just a supportive group of women that we're all just trying to help one another. So go ahead and comment down below. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you haven't already. If you are not following me on my Instagram, be sure to follow me on my Instagram at Coco Dumpling, and follow me on all of my other social media so you can always stay up to date with this big little thing right here. And always remember to walk in your purpose, stand in your truth, and keep those vibes high. And I will see you guys in my next video. Peace.